We are here.
Did you say we'll try to be good? Okay, you maybe, but I'm never good. I'm just like.
I confused Mama this week. What happened?
Oh, crap, yes. Okay, so Gina messages me saying we're going to cancel the show and with J.M. Smith, and I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I love him, he's great. And I just thought, okay, that's Thursday, and then she sends me the questions for this show with Chip. I'm like, okay, I'm all prepared for next week. Got to put it, and then she messages me at 7:30. Again. When are you coming in? I went, we have a show. Oh shit! As I keep saying, there's blonde in here, not for no reason. It's sorry to all the blondes, but you know.
Yeah, we did. We had we were going to do an extra show this week. It was going to be on Tuesday, so we will have J.M. Smith back again.
Oh yeah, because I'm in love with his mustache, so it has to happen.
So I told him we'll reschedule as soon as we possibly can. Tonight we have Chip. Jacob, Jip, yo, Jip. He's in the green room waiting. The poor guy, but
playing his own name.
I still don't have a voice.
Chip, she's Jacob. Got the sexiest voice going. Just deal with it, girl.
Right. Here is the video that
Chip's giggling in the background.
Chip to you, Chip. Here he is. Hold on.
Oh gosh.
Good evening, I am Gina B, here with Mama D every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here in the Foxton. Tonight we have Chip Jacobs. He is an award-winning author and a journalist with Arroyo as his debut novel. His previous nonfiction books include Strange as It Seems, The Impossible Life of Gordon Zaylor, The People's Republic of Chemicals, and the international best-selling Smogtown, The Lung-Burning History of Pollution in Los Angeles, The Ascension of Jerry, and the stories collection, The Vicodin Thieves. He has recently added The Darkest Claire, and he has also contributed to the anthologies, including the best-selling Los Angeles in the 1970s, Weird Scenes Inside the Gold Mine. His reporting has appeared in the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Los Angeles Daily News, CNN, the New York Times, Bloomberg, LA Weekly, among others. Jacob's books have been honored by the Independent Book Publishers Awards, the Indies Book of the Year Awards, the Green Prize for Sustainable Literature, the Shanghai Book Awards, the Southern California Book Festival, and elsewhere. He and his subjects have appeared in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Los Angeles Times, Slate, Wired, Marketplace, and C-SPAN, among others. His reporting has garnered 7 Los Angeles Press Club Southern California Journalism Awards, as well as 1 from the California Newspaper Publisher Association, the Los Angeles Times. We will discuss his journalism feats as well as his books, and we welcome you to the Foxton. And I did forget one book in that video, and I will show you a picture of it right now. Maybe. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, Black Wednesday Boys.
Right.
I forgot to add that into the video, so I apologize for that.
No problem. No problem.
Welcome to the Foxton, Chip. I should say Chip.
Chip. You know, I'll answer to anything. It is great to be here. I've been looking forward to coming on with you guys for many months, and
I for punishment.
I am. Flog me, point out my terrible personality and my questionable writing. So no, I really am very honored to be here. So thank you for having me on.
We are honored to have you.
Absolutely. This book, Arroyo, it's your first fiction novel. Right?
Yes.
It's unbelievable story. I was just drawn right into the characters. I could visualize it. Your writing is just phenomenal. It truly is. I really enjoyed the book, and it fits right into our genre.
Yep.
Because it takes a little twist, very karmic.
Were you saying that Chip is twisted?
Quite. You have no idea.
Hi, Barbara.
Don't come out to my backyard.
Okay, it's like my backyard. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah. We're not going to go there.
Ignore that pile. Yeah.
All right. So before we get into any of these things, let's get a little bit of background about you. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in the same city where that famous Colorado Street Bridge is. I grew up in Pasadena, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, kind of up against the mountains to the northeast. And I was the third son in a rather strange family, otherwise known as a family, and two very much older brothers. Older parents, often confused as my grandparents. So I had a lot of time as a kid to read, get in trouble, sneak out the bedroom door, and just think. And so I was a super annoying kid and grew into a super annoying adult. My favorite word was why. Why? To me, the when, where, and how always take a backseat to why. I'm just.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important word ever.
It really is. I mean, inquisitive minds want to know.
That's true. Although I stay away from tabloids. Yeah.
But you're a journalist.
Yes,
I am. Yes, I grew up in Pasadena. I went to a prep school, which is going to be part of the subject of my next novel. From there, I went to the University of Southern California, USC. Didn't fully know what I wanted to do, even though, I mean, it was staring me right in the face from the time I was in 7th or 8th grade. I always did I think I did pretty well at English and that type of thing. But in the mid 80s, there was concern that we were going into a deadly phase of the Cold War. And I became obsessed about trying to save the world. I was a very quixotic person. My family's in real estate. To me, being working in that business would have just been slow suicide. I wanted to go do something big. And so I went back to Washington, D.C. and got my master's, focusing in national security. This is the late 80s. And of course, a guy named Mikhail Gorbachev came along and pretty much ended the Cold War. So now I have a really, a laudable degree in a subject where, there isn't demand. So I came back to L.A., and I just said, I'm giving up. I'm just doing the thing people told me I should have been doing all along. I used my journalism degree and my writing, and I became a cub reporter. And, it was a hand in a glove. It just fit perfectly with my personality. And that just started my writing career. And I just got on a really, really good roll. For some reason, people like telling me secrets, whether it was in envelopes mailed to the newspaper or, face to face. I don't know, maybe people felt sorry for me, but it was a career that I felt I was destined to do. And even despite that all, after a while, I did a lot of investigative reporting, environmental reporting, but after a while, I wanted to do something more enduring. And my mom, who was passed on to her better life, worked on me to write a biography about her uncle and her family. And it was a story I never envisioned doing. I did not like my uncle when he was alive at all. But boy, I sure came to be astonished by what he achieved. He was a quadriplegic who broke his neck as a daredevil, and it didn't diminish his life. He lived as hard as 10 able-bodied men. So from there, this is what I wanted to do. I still did journalism, but my heart was in writing books. And
now being out
that's
there,
how I came.
Yeah, being out there, California, Hollywood,
right,
all that area. This book would be an awesome movie. Now, have you ever written like screenplays?
No, a funny thing is this is the first bit of fiction writing I've ever done in my life. And I mean, I was an avid reader as a kid and still am. My daughters are that same way, my wife. But no, I've been around. I have friends that are screenwriters. I've dabbled a little bit, but I'm going to stay in my lane. Being a screenwriter is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So in other words, if there's anybody out there who wants to change this book into a movie, you can buy it at a decent price, and Gina and I will get our cut.
Absolutely. Okay. My agent will be there. Yeah, I mean, I do see it. I mean, we were still in a dark place when I wrote this book in the world, and I wanted to give people a reason to laugh, a reason to be entertained, a reason to get pissed off, be provoked,
Yes.
ask questions about things they took for granted. And I also want to give folks spiritual hope, because I do believe in that. And the bridge that is the center of my book is when I grew up, nobody ever called it the Colorado Street Bridge. People called it by its more colloquial moniker, Suicide Bridge. We didn't know anything about it. And to live in Pasadena around that bridge is to know somebody who has lost someone to suicide, has seen a body falling, come across a body on a hike. And I wanted to reassure folks, whatever lands in the dust is resurrected above. And yet I didn't want to make the book about that point. I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to make the book about, about the idea you can have a good heart, but you can still fail.
Right.
Good heart is not enough.
Right. And you fall in love with Nick. You fall in love with the dog, with Royal. Yes, provoked. I was yelling.
Yeah.
Going, come on, no. Yeah. Right? But, I just got really upset. I get very emotionally involved in stories like this.
Yes, I've had people come up to me very angry at me for doing what I've done to my characters. But in brief, so Arroyo, it starts in the progressive age in America, 1912, 1913. Yeah. It was a romantic time, straddling sort of post-Reconstruction, rural times,
new inventions
with modern
coming out.
Yeah, it was an exciting time. Yeah, but it was still a time when women trolled parasols, men curled handlebar mustaches. There was literary
those coats and riding ostriches.
Riding ostriches. Women were forced into these terrible corsets, and they had fainting couches. They wouldn't want to think about it just in the corsets. They'll just build a fainting couch. But the bridge was this new wonder, because it was going to be the obsolescence of the horse and buggy age in the beginning of the automobile age. It was a perfect time to step into that world. And so my character, Nick, you're showing pictures.
When the bridge came up, and that was like the Model Ts were the ones that were like going
over
right
at the beginning. It was
This is this gorgeous curving bridge. And so I have my characters always been in love with it. We meet him when he's first working at Ostrich Farm.
Guy is up there.
Yeah, I know.
The bridge.
I would stay away from him. But my character,
he looked like he was poking at somebody.
I know. I was saying, take that light out of my eyes. But my character starts at an ostrich farm. Through a series of crazy events, he gets himself fired. He was this bright young executive being groomed for more, but that really wasn't his destiny. And so he gets a job building solar lights in the beginning of the age of electricity. I'm a very big person about alternative energy. And he has his dream job. He meets a beautiful, quirky suffragette with her own issues in the past. And they're living the dream, and yet the bridge contains a lot of dark secrets. And the more I research using my old reporting background about the bridge, the more I realized there was a dark spirit around its creation. If you listen to Pasadena City Fathers, you think this was a concrete birth of Immaculate Conception. But it wasn't. It was filled with ego, infighting, and bad blood. The rich people of Pasadena on almost something called Millionaires Row, because all the East Coast and Midwest millionaires hated those winters and humidity, and so they came out and built beautiful estates right on the edge of the banks near the bridge. And in fact, the rich were so wealthy they could take a noun and turn it into a verb. They called it wintering in Pasadena, right?
Right.
They influenced the bridge, and so this bridge, people come from all over the world and have to look at it, gawk at it, paint it, but they don't know the story. And I actually came to believe the bridge was this benevolent force that wanted the best for us, because it is bridging a divide between the two great valleys of LA, the San Fernando Valley and the San Gabriel Valley. Mm-hmm. And yet humans got in the way. They fought about it. They wanted credit. They lied about it being on schedule and on budget, which it wasn't. And so, when you build something up with lies and hype and ulterior motive, I started getting interested in this theory of animism, which is the idea that an inanimate object can project its creator's motives and ideas.
Yeah.
And, no wonder the bridge was a magnet for some really tragic, awful stuff. Not that all bridges don't have people jumping off and problems. This bridge in particular has got a mythology about it that is disconnected from the reality.
Yeah. Devil's Gate.
Devil's Gate, yeah, true. Yeah. So that's sort of the idea of the bridge. And we watch Nick and his clairvoyant dog, first go from being a homer about Pasadena, a fanboy of this bridge, to becoming more skeptical. And I put him in a dilemma. I've always heard, don't put your characters in easy situations, put them on the horns of a predicament, And so my character meets famous people like Teddy Roosevelt, but he meets one of my idols, Upton Sinclair, who was a very famous writer. He's the one that actually changed the whole food processing world. He wrote a famous novel called The Jungle about Chicago's meat packing industry. And Upton Sinclair could have told the truth about this bridge, as Nick knew it from the inside. And Nick has this, question. What's he going to do? Is he going to tell the truth, or is he going to continue with his own ambitions?
Mm-hmm. I know that's what I loved about this too, is because even though it's a fiction book, it's littered with facts.
Yeah.
Facts of the bridge, facts of who built it, all the people that were, involved, the people that were giving speeches, all the things. So you have all these facts, everywhere facts. And I love that.
But thank you. But the backbone has to be about characters making decisions. Yes. And we either see them progress or we see them regress, And Nick was this Nick was this guy that was fun-loving and carefree, but inside he was terribly ambitious and pretty vain, But he was, and you can have many different qualities all coexisting at the same time. So basically I am Nick, and I feel that myself. On one hand, I want to do good. On the other hand, I've got an ego, and you got to eat. You do have to eat. You have to eat, but you also have to feed your ego. It's just a quirk of human nature, So,
hi, Mom.
Yeah.
You muted. Just
We're keeping her speechless.
I know. Well,
no, when you're muted and you talk, you're doing a Mama D. That's all I gotta say. I'm good at that. Sorry, I had to go get Onyx. He was having a bit of a spastic fit.
Oh,
Neighbors, people were walking down his street.
Oh, but getting back to they should never do that to poor Onyx. But getting back to the book though, Nick, and how you wrote him, like we really did, I really felt all the ups and downs that he was going through, getting fired from the first job, but then meeting the wife of the Busch Gardens guy there,
Lillian Busch, right?
So
the Budweiser Corporation,
right. So Anheuser-Busch.
Exactly.
There's like really big names. So meeting her, talking to her, and then getting this other job, which is more. They always say when one door shuts, another door opens, and that's
true.
It's supposed to be,
Yes.
So you should, people often panic. You lose a job, you lose a friendship, you lose a lover, you lose a, wife or spouse, whatever. Yes, but you know what? Something good might come out of this.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean?
Out of loss, always, depending on you, can come something better. So now he's got his dream job coming up. And then he meets gets the dog. The dog was like, I love Royo.
I know.
How he got the dog was.
He was based on my old. He was based on my old dog, by the way.
Oh, cool.
And I'm convinced his spirit got my book on the LA Times bestseller list. I really do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog. One of my favorite movies, like millions, is It's a Wonderful Life. And Clarence is such a flawed guardian angel, if you notice. And I like the idea of a guardian angel that's a bit of a jerk. And, it's a bit of a con person or a con animal, but trying to guide, a human to what the stars intended. And sometimes they can do it and sometimes they can't. And I want to give the dog a little magical ability, so I have the dog occasionally clairvoyant. And
I love that, because we do that. My dog is right here.
Right.
She's been not well lately, so she's sticking right next to me, But yeah, I mean, I always said I can communicate with the animals, I know what they're thinking. I can look at them,
Yeah. And dogs, this is actually true. Dogs, especially dogs you've had a really close relationship with, they read your eyes. They read the light in your eyes, and I sometimes have felt like the dog I had would look over at me in my office and just kind of give me that gimlet eye and go, you can do better. I really did,
Yes.
Cool.
and so I wanted to have a dog in the picture, so to speak.
But you knew something was going to happen, because you're telling this backstory about, some maniac with the animals around the area,
Yes,
and being tortured and whatnot. I'm like, not the dog, not the dog. I kept, and it was
right.
As a
now I'm going to have to really get this book.
Forget about that guy. Forget about, just, don't bring him back up again.
Right. Yeah, but they kind of save each other, to a degree. Yeah. So I mean, the dogs save people all the time, even if it's just keeping them from the darkest places in their minds. So it's funny because the book did well in Pasadena. I don't like to say that stuff. So but there was a section, because the book is tongue in cheek, like I'm tongue in cheek, and there are some people in Pasadena, on the west side of Pasadena, that didn't appreciate my sarcasm and didn't like a clairvoyant dog. And one person famously said, it's too cute by a half. There's a saying, it's too cute by a half.
Excuse me?
Too cute, too,
like me, just too happy-go-lucky. Okay.
Yeah, but but then actually, and then actually after a while, I really came to really appreciate their dislike of it, because as a reporter, I never worked at a job where somebody didn't want to get my ass fired. And Nick needs to be, you don't really love something unless you tell the truth. And Nick was standing up against an establishment that breathed on myth and mythology and made money off that when it wasn't true. So, I got peace from it, because I had to tell the truth, but I wanted to make it entertaining. And the end of the book, it took me a long time to figure out how to have this ridiculous but soulful ending, and I bring together the elite of Pasadena, because there's been a lot of famous people from Pasadena.
Right.
So anyway, it's, that book expresses my spiritual view of the world and also my cynical view about my hometown, which I do love.
And we know your musical abilities and likes.
Yes, Led Zeppelin. Yeah. I was going to get the Beatles in there, but I thought that was a little too easy. But Led Zeppelin wrote with a lot of mysticism, very influenced by, J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. And so it fit perfectly. And when I listened to some of their music, I was like, oh my God, I think Nick would have written that song. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, like I said before, the book does take like a karmic type of a twist.
Yes.
What happened to you that sparked the interest in that type of mysticism?
Sure.
That into
Yeah, I'll tell you. So I grew up in a strange family, as I think I referenced. My mom was a very beautiful woman, social butterfly. She had her chance of pursuing her college dreams cut off when her brother broke his neck in this terrible accident. She married my dad, who was this brilliant Caltech educated civil engineer, but they had very little in common. And when they got married, they had this sort of religious detente. When my dad was an agnostic / atheist, my mom was a diehard Christian believer. And so the kids were baptized, but we couldn't flaunt, when Easter came, it was all about the chocolate and, jelly beans. It wasn't about resurrection of Jesus, etc. Right? Those types of things. and I didn't realize that till much later. But when I was 8 years old, and I was a Christian, but my dad was off to the side, very skeptical about religion. As I learned, when people have something bad happen to them early in life, like my dad did when his father left him, they're often very scarred, and that damage makes them disbelieve in God, because why would God do that to them? Even though that's a very myopic way of looking at things, in my opinion. But when I was 8, I was playing baseball at like in 3rd grade, and we were playing pop fly, and there's a towering fly ball, and I'm trying to imitate my LA Dodger favorite outfielder, a guy named Willie Davis. And so I was saying, I got it. The way little kids do, outfielders, I got it, back off. The ball goes through my hands, this really parabolic fly ball smacks me in the nose. My nose explodes like a faucet. I did not know the human body at 9 or 10 or 8 or whatever could contain that much blood, right? And so it was my first brush with mortality. And my mom came and got me, and my T-shirt is just soaked. It's soaked. And I'm going, am I going to die? And no, it's okay. It just had a little accident. She was very calming. And that night, I was sleeping facing out, which is different than I normally did, because I did have an active imagination. And I used to think Dracula and Frankenstein and werewolves walk by my door. And if I was looking outward,
they would see them, they're going to get you.
Yes, I was going to become, rotisserie chip. But something pulled me out of a deep, deep sleep. And it was this oval bubble of light. And I won't mealy mouth it. It was Jesus there levitating in my room. And even young, I thought, okay, I'm just imagining this. This can't be. And I closed my eyes really hard, and he was still there. And then I shook my head the way, sometimes cartoon characters, oh, yeah. He's still there. He's still there. And I think he knew I was going to be doubting Thomas or doubting Chip. And he was there for like 30 seconds. And he had this, he wasn't smiling, but he had his fingers up. He looked just like I'd seen in child's Bible books. And he was coming to tell me there is no death. It's going to be okay. But it still freaked the hell out of me. And I was both ecstatic and petrified. And I felt my heart was beating out of my little pajamas. And I ran and got my mom and shook her awake. And she eventually told me, after her father died, she was also in a deep sleep. She said he returned on the foot of her bed, woke her up, said everything is going to be okay. Interestingly, my dad did not wake up then, and he didn't wake up when I came running into my mother's room. And I would discover that this was a common occurrence in my family, where the quote unquote dead return to people in their dreams or elsewhere. And lo and behold, a year after my dad died, someone I hadn't seen for a super long amount of time, God bless you, hadn't seen for a long time. She says, it was the 1 year on the 1 year anniversary of my dad's passing. He said, your dad came to me in a dream, and he came to say, tell your brother I'm doing fine, not to worry, And I mean, I almost just fell down crying and sobbing. It's like, oh my God, I'm discovering this club, the secret club. I'd already,
it's not too secret.
Yeah, the Dead Relatives Club. I'm going to work it on my next book, but it profoundly affected me. I was already super interested in this. And, if you read enough about near-death experience, the commonality, it's not people's minds, chaperoning them, comforting them like the drowning. Your brain will do things to take away some of your panic. This wasn't that. There was overwhelming evidence, believe it or not, that there's more people that believe in reincarnation than don't believe in it. It's just not in this part of the world. In the Hindu world, in the Buddhist tradition,
right.
Oh my God, hundreds of millions of people. And
then depending on your karmic situation is what you come back as. You could come back as a bug. You can come back as, you know what I mean? So it depends on how bad in your life you were.
That's true. But to have consciousness conveys immortality. And it doesn't, and
energy never, you can't squash energy, right? It can only be
so
changed.
True.
You can't get rid of it. It can only change. So when we
it's one
pass,
of the
it's been weighed. When they say, "Oh, your soul leaves the body," it's been weighed. There is
Right.
a weight to it, right?
Uh,
So
True.
that energy leaving your body, whether it goes and crosses over, whether it goes crosses over, comes back, whether it gets transformed, transmuted, you
I
know.
com- I completely agree. And one of the best movies around. I mean, there some of these movies influenced Arroyo, and just sort of worked in the back of my brain. And I was writing them down before we went on. One of them is Field of Dreams. The
Love.
other is Groundhog Day. The other is Heaven Can Wait. But think about Field of Dreams. That was very influential to me, because in that it's almost like God or the universe selected all these disparate individuals to come together in Iowa to build a ball field for the Chicago White Sox that were accused of cheating. And a lot of them had very bleak existences afterwards. I just think that's amazing. M. Night Shyamalan did actually a movie as well, with an apartment complex full of different people all together for a purpose. And that really got into me. Groundhog's Day, if you think about it, it's really a story about reincarnation.
Yeah.
At first he dies and he just wants to bed the girl, but that's not enough. So he has to come back and actually learn about the girl. And he also has to learn about compassion, because he's a selfish jerk of a weatherman, right?
Right.
And we actually, in a humorous, incredible, entertaining show, we learn, it's about the system. And my life changed when I read a book called The Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Journey of Souls. In that book, he cracks the code of, we live this life, we go on. Some, like another great movie called Defending Your Life with Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks, you go and have your life reviewed. I don't know if you're going into a trial setting like in that movie, which is really worth watching, but you do get a sense of what's happening and where you've gone wrong and what you've done right. And in Journey of Souls, it's the idea that you have spiritual masters, that you pick your parents, you pick your life. And so sometimes if you see somebody in this book's concept, and I believe it, if you see somebody who is facing the most difficult obstacles, it's because they chose that for their evolution of their soul, so they can become more godlike and maybe then run it all over again. There is an element of life as a training ground, and also chutes and ladders, except it's not dice. It's your own decisions, right?
It is, and you make those decisions, and I'll tell you, you go left or right, right from wrong.
That's
If you
true.
take the wrong path, and you knowingly take that wrong path, there are consequences, whether it be in this life or the next. But there are consequences.
That's true. And the idea that we're living 10,000 lives all simultaneously, it's almost too much for the human mind to absorb. Like David Bowie said in the song Starman, there's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. It would blow our minds, But I felt like I had in Arroyo, because of my childhood vision. I call it the man in the light. What my mom taught me, reading these books, I had to make that a critical part of it. And so, without a spoiler alert, Nick gets a second chance to do right. He just doesn't come back as that dynamic, charismatic person he was in the first life. In his second existence, he's a bit of a very smart but depressed human being working at dying Whammo Corporation. The Frisbee people.
Yep.
And he's selling schlock things that you'd find on, kind of gag gifts you'd find on QVC, including,
But all the characters get brought forward, which was
they do, except for Jules, who was, our suffragette. Yeah, but I mean, she did right in her first life. She stood up for her beliefs. So, that person that dies a hero in one life, jumps into the river and saves a child, runs into a burning building, stands up and tells the truth when nobody wants to, they are seeding a better life the next time.
Right.
So I had to do this.
Things, yeah, there are things. There are people. I mean, there are old souls. There are new souls. There, there's not that many new souls. But I mean, for your old soul to finally be put to rest, like you can tell who an old soul is. They're
You
comfortable.
absolutely can.
They're comfortable with being alone. They're just like they'll sit back and watch the shit unfold.
That's true. Actually, I'm convinced my younger daughter is a much older soul than me. And yeah, I went to a psychic once. She told me on my previous life, I was this rather rotund, very opinionated Eskimo woman who did not like the Russians encroaching on that territory. And it's funny because I wanted to be a Sovietologist and I distrusted the Russians back from grad school to today. So I think there's something going on with that. Anyway,
yeah, but everything influences, what we do now.
We do, but the
fears and phobias are all stemmed from
true.
Past lives and stuff. Hi, Ashley. Nice to see you in here.
Yeah, there's a what's fascinating when you really read about reincarnation, and researchers go to talk to children before they're really 3 or 4 years old, because their minds aren't polluted and their memories are still the freshest of their past life. And I mean, your jaw will be on the ground because some of these people can name specific villages and cousins of cousins and just particulars nobody else could. It's not like their mom was watching the Discovery Child, and it came through the placenta. That's not the case. I mean, there's something called scientific reductionism, where if it's you just take complex ideas and you reduce it to its most simplest kind of dichotomous answer. And we do that in the West. And, there's sure a lot of people that are convinced of black holes, but I don't think they've ever seen one. So they're taking on somebody's word. I have a problem generally getting people that are atheists, because I just find them so
My dad is a
stubborn.
staunch atheist.
And I want to convert them, but I can't. But I think that's just part of their journey. But I guess my point is, Nick, Nick learns firsthand the consequences of not being the person you're supposed to be. He pays for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway. There's that.
But there's that. There's a lot there. Yes. So your beliefs, your strong beliefs definitely show through in here. Now, this book, Arroyo, I just absolutely love it. Again, for people who are just joining, it's a book based on, it starts out like 1913, it's with the beginning and the construction of this bridge and all the characters stemming around it. But it does take a comic twist. You did kind of give that a little bit away. Nick gets a second chance on his life. Right. And, he's like the main character in here. And it was just like, it really throws you too. You're going from that emotional, like, oh my God, of the loss, to it jumping right into, into
a future time. Yeah, actually, in the paperback, people were very jarred by it, and I will chalk it up to a rookie novel mistake. We actually have Life 1 and Life 2 in there now. But I mean, I did have people, honestly, that were miffed at me. How dare you do that to them? So I mean, I think that's good in a way, because it at least invested in the character. But Nick is like all of us, he's a dreamer. He is ambitious. He likes to get in trouble, like I like to get in trouble. It's all benign mischief, and we all like to be the hero. And when I was 17 or 18, if I could do something to look heroic to a pretty girl, man, I would do it.
Oh, that would be it, right? Yeah.
No, because I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we all like to be the heroes. I think that's why I went into design. It's like, you go into someone's house that's like bare and white walls, and you design it and you just make it come to life, and you're the hero.
That's right.
And it's like, I love that, and then it's a lasting thing too. So there's my mark and history of some of my designs and
darn straight.
Yeah. So I can be a hero.
there's something about the Colorado Street Bridge, because it looks Roman, it looks Gothic. It's called Beaux Arts design. These big sweeping arches and intricate detail that it almost looks like it was created by an artist, instead of somebody with a degree in architecture, right?
Right. Right.
And because it curves, it just gets your mind going. And I think people could stare at it for 1,000 years. I honestly do. And
these giant feats, oh my gosh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And then you do have your tragedies. There's always a tragedy when you're building these things, like the Hoover Dam and everything.
Right.
There's always some deaths. But surprisingly, though, with that collapse, there weren't more deaths than that.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been 25 people that died, and
right.
Without going too far, giving spoiler alerts. And by the way, I never understood a book review. It's not a book synopsis, it's a book review, but people love to give away the ending to books, or this happened, that happened. You're supposed to capture the spirit of the book and the themes, but that's another matter. Where I think you saw the way society was in Pasadena was this bridge collapses, there's dead people, there's people fighting for their lives. There's questions about the management of it, but that is all taking a back seat. It's when is our damn bridge going to get open?
I know.
Is the bridge going to be okay? You would think that bridge was their mother,
Clean up that mess and get back to work.
Hell yes. And it's things are different today with industrial safety protocols and such, but Pasadena wanted that bridge. They wanted to be the center of the local universe in terms of intellectual thought, investment. Back then, Pasadena was the third biggest city in California. And maybe it was going to be half the size of LA instead of being a much smaller suburban town. And the city, I won't give it away, but they do something very ruthless. They use the bridge as a pretext.
Right.
It's always about the land. As I've learned being in LA, or seeing Chinatown, or anybody that's watching from the East Coast in LA, there is a lust for land that is, people have taken Viagra for land, and it never wears off. They want land. They do. It's true.
Okay.
And actually, the books in the book,
you have your good spots and your bad spots.
You have, and it's very competitive. It's a land off. So anyway, the book is filled with a lot of my reporting experiences, and I drew people that I knew from my own personal life.
I was going to ask you that, like some of these other characters, because you have the real life people, in here. However, I'm sure you're giving them personalities,
yes,
and their dialogue and such. But you have the true ones. But like, who is Jules in your life?
Let me see. How can I say this without getting in trouble?
I know.
Not possible.
Jules was a combination. I've been lucky to be married to a beautiful redhead for 30 years. I met her when I was a cub reporter. And I didn't want I didn't want to have that infiltrate this book. So Jules is based on a girlfriend of mine, one of my first love when I was 18, mixed with some other ladies I was lucky to be involved with later on before I got married, but looks a lot like Jodie Foster. And no, this is not Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver Obsession. It is based on this. It is based on a beautiful woman who's very misunderstood, is a damaged individual who doesn't like talking during the day, is brilliant, but
hides a little secret,
hides secrets, but it's got principle. This woman doesn't care. She just wants to do the right thing, whereas Nick wants to do the right thing, but it often takes a back seat to his ambition. And but I wanted her to be fiery, and I wanted her to be mysterious. So that's where she came from. She's a composite.
I was definitely thrown by the little twist in her character. And so this, honest to God, people, you got to get this. This is just,
Thank you.
Yeah, I put the link into the chat room, both the Facebook and the YouTube, for the Amazon.com.
Thank you.
And for your website as well.
Please buy it. My children are so hungry. They truly are.
Okay, so I'm going to have to go and check and see if they have it at Amazon.ca.
I mean, it's speaking.
Canada.
You can't. Okay. Thank you. Actually, when I was first rolling out my books, I mean, somewhat kiddingly, my kids were younger, and I would be at a bookstore. I'd go around to different customers and cough or limp and say, "Can you buy my dad's book?" You know, is that too cynical?
Your books are amazing. Now, I also have this book here that I'm going to read next of yours, which is amazing. And I actually have a little trailer that you have on your site that we have queued up here, ready to play about this book. So I want to ask you, we'll get back to Arroyo.
Sure.
For sure, because that is definitely the feature book. But your other books, I just wonder if you would give a quick little synopsis about each one. So
sure.
Go to The Darkest Glare next and go in order.
Sure. Okay. So The Darkest Glare is a book that I actually started working on and learned a story that I learned about during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And nothing to do with her, but it was from a newspaper source that had helped serve up expose after expose. And he stopped me on Hollywood Boulevard, which back then, I could say it looked a little bit like a Star Wars bar scene. And he said, "Did I ever tell you I had a double murderer chasing me? That I had a partner killed? My wife said it ruined the old me, my ex-wife." And, I mean, you just don't forget something like that. I was flabbergasted. And so this book is about a true crime in 1979 Los Angeles, set in a murder triangle. And guess what? The profession it's set in was interior design, interior architecture. So it's something you understand. But 1979 Los Angeles was a very ornery, cantankerous place. Where the murder rate was skyrocketing. We had more serial killers loose than you can count. We were still in the post-Vietnam, post-Watergate malaise and stagnation of America. And the LA dream seemed to be dying. People were angry about immigrants, angry about traffic and smog and taxes. They didn't trust government. I mean, it actually sounds a lot like today.
It sounds like today.
I mean, populism run amok. And but this is a story about three different parts of Los Angeles colliding. One part is from North Hollywood, and this nerdy, brilliant designer, 27 years old, who is self-conscious and yet also creative. He partners with an older, debonair, suave man who just happens to be bipolar and incredibly dishonest in many ways. They decide they want to go away just from space planning, interior design, and actually work in construction because people had a lot of money in their pockets. Redevelopment was happening in downtown. But this older man who kind of looks like a blonde Charles Bronson has got a secret. He is a murderer. He just hides behind the veneer of a kind of everyman Joe Sixpack personality, and it becomes a power struggle. And then it becomes a murder story. And then it becomes a psychological thriller. And people don't believe it's true. If I had to compare it to anything, I would say if you've seen the Coen brothers gem Fargo, it is that kind of a story of surrealism, strange violence, and yet wacky bravery. But it's set in LA against the palm trees and the neon. And I still have a hard time getting folks to realize, no, this is not a novel. It's a true crime story. So there's that book. The book next to it, As Strange as It Seems, that is my first book, really. And it's a family story about my uncle who broke his neck as a daredevil at 14 years old in 1940, Pasadena area. And an accident that sort of destroyed my mom's family. But he, despite being in a wheelchair, always on the edge of death because of his tricky medical condition, he went into Hollywood and he crushed it and lived very large and started off working with Doris Day and a guy named Edward Jr. in Plan 9 from Outer Space to create a major post-production company, travel the world, hobnob with celebrities, think really outside the box ideas. And he was someone I was scared of and did not like. I was a pallbearer at his funeral. He was the first person I was glad died. And then I would discover later he was the person I wish would have lived. and given me perspective and toughness and confidence. And I followed my, I told the story of my family as well, but it's really about a man who was supposed to live only a few weeks, and he lived 35 years, and he lived hard and outrageously. The other book is Small Town. That is a book I did with a fellow writer named William J. Kelly, and it's a social history about the LA smog crisis, which was really the 20th century's first huge environmental crisis, caused by LA's love of the automobile and freeways. And there's quite a lot of parallels between our understanding of smog and getting to the bottom of it and climate change. With a lot, we have our own Dr. Fauci in this story. We have our own denialism. We have our own industry collusion and conspiracy. And yet you have heroes, from concerned moms to doctors to researchers. And so it's a very people-oriented, non-scientific, cultural study of of the LA smog crisis. I am working right now with Warner Media to turn it into a limited series. So that's very exciting.
Awesome. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. What's strange is the book came out in 2008. It was the worst time to release an environmental book because because the world economy and U.S. specifically was going down the drain because of the Great Recession. But the book, did get quite a bit of critical acclaim. And it also came out right when Beijing was hosting the Olympics. And we had to do a sequel about what's happening in China. And that's the book to the right, People's Republic of Chemicals. That came out about 6 years after Smogtown. And it's really the story of globalization, about China's rise from an industrial weakling into a manufacturing powerhouse. People don't realize, as bad as COVID is, and it's just been, a plague we haven't seen in centuries, really, or at least 100 years. In China every day, partly because they manufacture our goods with very weak environmental labor protections, they lose over 3,000 people a day to air pollution, and as well as having many other problems with water contamination, acid rain. China is a very mysterious ancient culture, and they had very little this type of contamination. But in 2001, they joined something called the World Trade Organization. The official ceremony was 2 months after 9/11, so nobody was paying attention. And you will not believe what has happened in that country that's gorgeous and tainted now, partly because of the big manufacturers that went there, deals the U.S. cut. We created Frankenstein. And even some of that smog and pollution drifts over the Pacific to us. And it's a very newsy book, whereas my book about LA smog is more of a nostalgic, cultural look. It's still a book that gives me nightmares. There's plenty about things called cancer villages and East Waste villages, how the Chinese government, people are great there, but the Chinese government, they run a security state. And just like with COVID, if you cross a red line, they don't forget. They will come after you. And we can never forget. These are human beings over there. Right. And none of them asked to get poisoned. There's some rivers in China polluted by manufacturing where no living organism can survive 24 hours. So it's more of a current events book. The last book I'll talk about is The Vicodin Thieves. That's a collection of some of my favorite journalism, along with a few other stories. And then the book in the upper right is a privately issued book about a 50-year partnership of an unbelievable journey of two business people. But I would say my best known books are Arroyo, The Darkest Glare, and Smogtown.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you for saying all those things. And I'm going to play the trailer that you have for
The Darkest Glare. This is what happens in interior design, Gina.
All right.
Nice. Well,
That was well done.
It was done by a screenwriter buddy of mine who's also a visual editor, and I could not believe how good it was. And in fact, on Facebook, I'm having all these people asking me, where can I see this show on Netflix? I'm telling them it's only a book. I'm actually trying to turn this into a series. It's a very it's a book that calls out for it, and
your writing just calls out for it.
Well, thank you, but
and
I really
it's not like you're writing little stories either.
No, I know. It's people. As I've had agents and PR people say, you should just focus in one genre, fiction, on environmental, true crime. I just have a restless intellect, and if I did all,
you have too much in you to get out.
I know this is why I have circles under my eyes. I can't turn my mind off at night. But in this story, we don't realize, when somebody is murdered, it's like everybody connected to them, part of them dies as well. And some people, maybe older souls, can get over it or understand it and cope better than folks that don't have that ability. And that one bullet of an assassin, it was really like an execution on a rainy night in 1979 Los Angeles, when I was a punk-ass 17-year-old that knew nothing about these type of things. It reverberated for decades. And when I went to start interviewing people, I had doors shut on my face, folks weeping like, I better leave while you don't hyperventilate. Here's a paper bag. I don't want to meet with you. They were still afraid that this execution, this bullet was fired through a plate glass window. And true story, there was folks afraid of standing in front of windows for years and years and years. They didn't want to open their curtains. And that fear is almost the worst disease itself.
Yeah.
And, yet there was numbers of heroes in the story.
All the terrorists,
That's true. But
Cold Wars.
I always like to find the heroes when you don't expect them. And in this case, one of the heroes happened to be just a low life criminal who for once tried to do the right thing, and he tried to stop this assassination. I don't know if figure this and have seen this in your own life. When some things some things gain a momentum that can't be stopped, and that's what this case was. The victim knew there was a contract out on him, and he still put himself in position to be killed. The LAPD knew about it. Two very famous lawyers knew about this in different ways. One was went on the O.J. Simpson Dream Team trial group. The other was a future California Supreme Court justice, and both told somebody trying to disrupt this plot, you have no ethical or statutory obligation. And but what about your moral duty?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all that could have been stopped if somebody would have done the right thing. The old saying, evil exists when good people, stand down in the face of it. And, I felt like trying to stop this killing was like trying to get an aircraft carrier to do a U-turn. You can't. It takes miles to slow that sucker down. And so the story is surreal. It's weird. It's horrifying, but there's also, you also see another hero, this young mother that won't endanger her child, who has to go clean up the crime scene herself. The love of her life, clean up his remains. And that's a lot for somebody to take. And I will always think so highly of her.
Well, I'm starting this now tonight.
Yeah.
All I've done is read the
It's
prologue.
like you just put the bug in her ear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is where
Saturday.
Yeah, but I don't think I will ever do another true crime book. It's just too painful, and I have friends that are in the true.
Yeah, it's got to leave a scar on you.
Yeah, and I have friends that are in the true crime world. Some are more literary true crime writers. One guy named Ron Francel, another named Steve Hodel, who believes his father was the Black Dahlia killer, a serial killer, and I don't know how they do it. There's others that are more in the pulp, supermarket true crime, but you are going around and picking at the worst day, at the wound or the worst day of people's lives.
Right.
That's just not me. I've committed to the story because I believe in the heroes and the characters. That's just not in me. I would rather, if I'm going to kill somebody, it's going to be in a novel,
Right. This
Nonsense.
is what you just said there is picking at the worst day of someone's life. Also, that's the worst day of that person's death. That spirit, when people, because I do, paranormal investigating, and there's a lot of people out there that will go in and kick down the doors and torment those poor souls.
Yeah.
That is the worst day of their life. And if they're reliving that over and over and over again, and they don't realize that they're gone, that's, you just don't do, that's just morally, ethically wrong. It's horrendous to do to someone, whether they're living or deceased.
Yeah.
Yes, it is 9 o'clock, Mama. Yeah, we need to play our ads.
We have to take a commercial break.
Yes,
Please do.
We'll do our ads and we will be back. I'm
the Mimi. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna play 3
I'm with you.
ads. Where's our vortex? There it is.
I didn't.
The Fox Den is now proudly sponsored by Vortex Ghost Gear, one of the leading fabricators of paranormal equipment. Bob Christopher is the founder and creator of Vortex Ghost Gear. He has decades of investigating, starting with his team at NEPA, and as lead in the popular local TV show Ghost Detectives, he has experience of how spirits could be seen or heard. Using this knowledge, he has manufactured equipment for specific scenarios of spirit manifestation and communication. He is the only manufacturer of the popular lifelike trigger prop cats and dogs. Using proximity meters wired to lights and sound, these prove to be highly effective communication devices in the field of study. The HTO, another Vortex exclusive, allowing specific items to be the highlight or trigger of your investigation. For example, place the item on a metal tray or attach directly to any metal object such as keys or glasses that continue to go missing or moved. Ask the spirit to touch the item. The HTO will light. It has a sound option as well. This device was used in Travel Channel's Ghost Nation with great results. The Dome, a static detector, can be the most useful device in your gear bag. This is to back up the theory that the spirits manifest using static electricity. Using several, you can track a spirit, for example, walking down a hallway, setting off each as it passes. The geophone detects vibrations. This is another way to track movement. If a claim is footsteps in the hallway or stairwell, set the sensitivity and place the device in that area. Its band of lights will show a range of vibrations from the slightest tapping, lighting only a few lights, to the loudest thumping, lighting the entire range. The Easy Scan Ghost Boxes are very popular due to the ease of use. They are custom decorated to the individual or team using them. Bob programs and uses an Arduino-based computer scanning FM waves to potentially communicate with the spirit realm in real time. Every box is unique and all custom hand decorated by Gina Bankston. The V-Pod has a special place for those who love the idea of REM pods. Use this sleeker, smaller, easier to transport device. It is a must-have in your gear bag. Take your investigating to the next level with many of Vortex Ghost Gear's unique and custom creations by Bob Christopher. Visit www.vortexghostgear.com to view all the products and get your equipment today. You can also investigate with Bob and Gina with ghostly excursions, taking people to some of the most haunted locations in the USA. Visit www.ghostlyexcursions.com and join us on our next adventure. Welcome to Vortex Ghost Gear's newest addition to the paranormal equipment lineup. It's called Cryptocords, and this is a musical, motion-activated, coffin-shaped box. The device works first by inserting 4 AAA batteries. Point the box with the white motion sensor in the direction you wish to monitor. Push the red power button to turn on the device. The music will sound and the light will turn on, only for a brief time as it sets itself. The box activates if something crosses or interacts within its range, stemming from the device's sensor in a V pattern to approximately 30 feet. If the barrier is broken quickly, as in if something walks in front of it briefly, the device will sound, the light will turn on, but only for a brief time, and then it will stop and reset itself. If something continuously moves in front of the device, the music will light and stay on longer. Keep waving your hand in front of the device to test that. Both the box and the music are customizable. As for the design, it can be almost anything, from our basic cross design to your team logo, to your favorite character, theme, or place to investigate, or if you have a haunted location. The music can also be almost anything. This we ask you to find and send to us. It has to be an MP3. Instrument only works best, and up to 2 minutes. If your choice will work, we'll use it. As we custom build and hand paint each box, we always ask for your patience upon ordering. We create each box with pride and send as soon as we possibly can. We have so much more to offer at Vortex Ghost Scare. We welcome you to check out the site for all the paranormal equipment available, including our trigger prop cats and dogs, where there are some new additions to the kennel: the Dome, the V-Pod, the HDO, the Geophone, and IR lights. We ask you go to www.vortexghostscare.com and happy hunting. And one more ad. Most of you may know Chris Lee from being a frequent guest on the Fox Den. Chris Lee is a Canadian clinical hypnotherapist specializing in his system of past life therapy, which eliminates people's persistent aches, pains, fears and phobias, and debilitating emotions without prescriptions, medicine, unnecessary operations, nor ongoing therapy. Many of you already have his hard copy books from his Life in the Past Lane series, and some of you also know that if the books were not readily available, Chris has been very accommodating in sending those books personally. The books include Life in the Past Lane, Fears and Phobias, Aches and Pains, Crimes Against Humanity, with 2 more in the works. Book 5, History, Fact or Fiction, will be available soon. These are fascinating client true stories and testimonials confirming his system works. He can also teach you how to do a system as well. Currently, Chris is away for a prolonged period of time and is not able to send the hard copy books, but there is a silver lining. He has now made his books available as digital ebooks. To place your order, you can email Chris at book@pastliferap.com or visit the site www.pastliferap.com. While there, hit the shop button where you can see all the books and their descriptions. You will find the currently unavailable hard copy books priced at $15 plus shipping. You will also find the newly added ebooks, which are available for only $7.50 with obviously no shipping. The quickest way to start reading this amazing series. Payment is by bank, e-transfer, or PayPal. Go to www.pastliferap.com or email Chris at book@pastliferap.com to get your ebooks. And we're back! Yay!
Yay!
We took a little sabbatical
Look,
on
my
that one.
computer didn't die.
Yay!
So I got, and that's I'm interested in all these elements, but I have a question to ask you. So I mean, I think I talked about one of my favorite books. I've given 50 copies of this away. I've given more copies of this book away than my own books. Journey of Souls. I do think there's a system where we go to different levels depending on our soul's needs and what we want to do. The ghosts and apparitions and spirits, that bewilders me because I don't understand has part of our soul gone on, but the unresolved part of our being remains? How does we reconcile this in a
this is why
organizing theory?
Put it quite simply is, right, there's a ghost, there's a spirit. A ghost is someone who has just passed away and won't cross over, for lack of better words, okay, that won't leave this realm and go to where they're supposed to go.
Yes.
Because of human emotions, because of fear, because whatever is holding them back, they're afraid to go over there, or they don't realize that they're dead. Okay, so that's a ghost. A ghost is here. It still has all the human fear, lust, envy, hate, greed, all those things, okay, all the emotions. A spirit is someone who has passed away, crossed over, and realizes they can come back. All right, so they can come back. They can be your guide, your guide, your spirit guide, your guardian angel, watch over you, helpful. And I have had this experiences. I'm in a couple books on the shelf back here by having these experiences too, these spirits that saved me from a fire, spirits that helped me find my husband's wedding ring, because my husband passed away. And I used to wear his ring on my thumb, and I lost it. And I asked the spirits where it was, and they told me it's in the bin. So I found these things. So spirits can be very helpful. It is the majority of spirits that are helpful. It's the minority, that's harmful.
Okay, that's a great explanation. But question. So, I mean, I believe in God. I believe our life is a combination of free will and predetermination. So is for a ghost, that doesn't know they've crossed over, and it's somebody like doesn't realize they should be getting in the car to take a trip, and they're just hanging out. Is that part of God's plan that for that soul that they have business to take care of here before they go on? Where does God play in? Where does God play in? Is a ghost exercising free will, and how do they know to go where God wants them to go? I mean, I ask myself that all the time.
They don't. See, that's the thing. Right? Being an investigator and a real investigator that will go in to help people, right? People will be saying, okay, there is something going on in my house. There's a lot of things are going missing. A lot of things, something is really trying to get someone's attention. Okay. They need help. So you come in and they don't know how to communicate with these people, these spirits, these entities, these beings, they don't know how to communicate. So they call in teams, and sometimes they get a good team and sometimes they don't. But as a good investigator, you're more of a psychologist.
Right.
When you go in there, because first of all, you have to talk to the people and find out what is going on, what is actually happening in the house, what are they actually doing, what's bothering you about them doing this, and then you talk to the spirit and say, okay, well, this is their concerns. Why are you here? What is your concern? Are they doing something to upset you?
Yeah.
Have you not finished something? Do you need to get a message across? And it could be something like, grandma wanted someone to have a freaking crocheted hamper. All right. It can be something that minute to huge by saying, this person killed me and they're in my house still. You know what I mean? It could be,
but is this still part of the ghost plan? I mean, is this still part of God's plan? That
no, because God gives you free will, yes, as a living being.
Yeah.
When you pass, you don't do the right things. This is karma coming into play here, right? You don't do the right things. You're still going to have that fear when you pass. Like, oh my God, I didn't do these right things. I can't go over there because I'm not going to be forgiven if I go over there. It is our job as investigators to let that spirit know that they will be forgiven when they go over there.
When I watch when I watch these shows, I'm sorry, my sympathy goes to the ghosts. I feel heartbroken for them because they're frustrated or lost or confused, and I want to go help them. I think the people can recover or get their money back on a house. Of course, I don't want to see them suffer, but I feel sorry for these souls because they're all human beings. They're all children of God. I want them to go where they're going. I want them to be released.
And that's the point is you got to get them to understand that they can leave. And then you can either help them to cross over. You can create
Yeah.
anything for them to cross over. You can create a light for them to go into. You can create a vortex for them. You can, have all the stuff. Whether you have people like Mama D's a Reiki master, and she can manipulate energy and such. But you can use Reiki people. You can use mediums, channelers, whatever it takes to get that spirit that, the boost for it to leave this realm, go to the next one where it should be, and then to explain and talk to them like I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
and you explain to them, look, this is not your life anymore. You're not living. This is the place for the living to be. Your place.
In a way, they're sort of in a state of denial, right?
Yes.
Some are. I know I can't generalize, but I mean, I know, I feel like God is still in charge of the whole picture, but ghosts that are around, and maybe it's a kind of almost like a form of their purgatory, and also they can't pass go until they've learned a lesson, or they express themselves, or they finger some terrible evil, right? I want to know how the system works.
Yeah,
this is why I want to go and ask God a million questions with my notepad.
This is why I go and investigate, because I'm trying to find out the same things too. Yeah. Because there are so many different levels.
Yeah.
That it's hard to like lump sum it all. I mean, I could go on for hours and hours and hours on this. Yeah. Trust me.
But I just feel though they're especially somebody that's been murdered and their ghost is hanging around. So they've gotten screwed twice. First they get murdered, and now they can't go on to the afterlife and be rewarded, or go to the next life where that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? I feel like they're getting a bit of a raw deal, but I know somehow or another it's part of the cosmic scheme. That's I don't understand.
There's no good without evil. There's no, you know what I mean? There has to be a balance. There's a yin and a yang,
Yeah. Boy, there's sure a lot of yang though.
There is. I
know. There's an excess of yang. We need to go on a yang diet, actually. I'm watching.
Rip that Band-Aid right off.
I'm watching a series called Discovery of Witches. It was a very popular book.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, the author Deborah Harkness is a USC history professor, and I can see she's kind of like the lead character. And in this story, the vampire is 1,500 years old, and I do think eventually we'll prove the afterlife, and we're also going to be figuring out how for people to live hundreds of years. I want to be a paranormal investigator. If in my next life, for 50 years or something, I want to be an alternative healer.
You can do it now.
Maybe, but this is I have a problem with Western medicine. I wish Western medicine would embrace Eastern medicine, Eastern mysticism. These things, when somebody can't figure out a cause and a CT scan isn't pinpointing it, maybe there's something going on machines are blind to. And I wish it actually pisses me off that we're not. I think doctors, God bless them, they are a bit of egomaniacs. And
that is why, as a Reiki master, when I have an issue with a client, I will not say that I am the be all and the end all. No Reiki master or energy practitioner worth their weight in anything will say, okay, this is how it's got to be.
Yeah.
This is what we see, this is what we feel, but also we need you to go see your primary physician, because it works together. Yeah. And there are people out there. When I first started with Reiki, my husband got really sick. He ended up in the ICU, and I went there and I was going to do a Reiki treatment on him. Yeah. And he was like, wait a minute, can I do this? Like, I don't give I'm sorry, excuse my language, but I don't give a shit what people think. I've been there, done that. I don't care anymore. Yep. And the nurse came in and she looked at me. She goes, are you doing Reiki? I went, uh-huh. And she goes, oh, okay. She backed out of the room. She turned off the light. She goes, I'll be back in half an hour.
I'm going to have a cigarette.
Very much. Yeah, she knew exactly what I was doing. Nurses, I love my doctors, and I give them major props, because without them, there's a lot of things that we couldn't fix.
Of course.
But without the nurses, who are more open-minded than the doctors, there's things that they're done.
Oh, I have to tell you, I completely agree, and I got really interested in, and I want to have them in a novel, hospice nurses. And my dad, and when my dad was failing, and we had a very cantankerous relationship, we loved each other, but stubborn men syndrome. But those hospice nurses have seen more in terms of people passing over. It's very clear that for many people, they're getting glimpses of the afterlife. And I've read books about this, in their dying days, and they're seeing relatives, and the rooms are crowded. And folks are, what are you looking at? Their eyesight is better than ours, because now they have 1 foot on earth and the 1 foot in the next realm. And one thing I noticed about Arroyo, at the turn of the century, late 1800s, early 1900s, there was this revival of seances, and of people believing in telepathy and telekinesis and connecting to the departed. But the problem was, that it was looked at as a fad right when medical technology was becoming more prevalent. The X-ray machine. In a couple generations, there'd be antibiotics. It's too bad those did not coexist, because to me, if somebody is ill, there should be a doctor, there should be somebody like you in the room, there should be an alternative holistic doctor that goes, maybe a problem is you shouldn't be drinking milk. There should be a team of smart people, all expert in their field, instead of just pigeonholing you in one area and saying, this machine will fix you.
It's kind of it's on the fence. I mean, people are accepting more because we're in the field, so they are accepting more all the abilities. And there's so many abilities. Like, there are so many doctors. There's so many people. Their gifts and their skills are different.
Right.
And they're all needed. It's all, necessity. I like how you put that with the group. It should be like
you want a team working for you.
Yeah, you want a think tank of all these people in all these realms to help you. And it would benefit everybody. It's like the doctors don't like chiropractors. And all of a sudden, they're not so bad.
America likes complexes. You've heard of the military-industrial complex. I believe there's a death-industrial complex. I do. It's composed of undertakers and morticians and funeral homes and graveyards and hospice and all that, and death industrial complex, Dick. Fight Dick. I'm being sarcastic, but I do think there's something going on with this, because it's. I do wonder, in 100 or 200 years, maybe people, when they hear they have something terminal wrong with them, they're not going to freak. They're going to celebrate. Yeah. This is my time. I'm starting my next journey. You're all good. I'll see you someplace else. I do wonder if we'll just stop calling it death. And I do say that in Arroyo. A transition can be scary. You switch from coffee to tea. It's not always easy. Well, maybe we'll just stop looking at it in such a simplistic manner.
But there are people now, that are not afraid of dying, that are not afraid of transitioning. We used to be back in the day, like, oh my God, I'm going to, what happens if I die? For me, I'm not afraid of death.
Speaker or earbudsing, getting hit or something.
Yeah. Okay. See, those morticians are listening in. They don't like what we're saying.
I'm not afraid of death. Yeah. What I'm afraid of is what I'm leaving behind, and if they're ready for it. It's like, what's Gina going to do without me? Hello,
Yeah.
No, it's not happening.
It's not happening. I keep saying to people, I'm like 100,000 years old. I've been to both places. They don't want me, so I'm here for opportunity.
No, but that's true. What you're, I so believe in what you're saying, and because Western scientific thought has made us connote death with extinction. Yeah. But you know what? If you have consciousness, you have immortality. It doesn't mean it's going to be a linear journey, No. And I do believe that. And I know when I started reading this, I'm reading it for a purpose. And it goes back to when I was a little kid, and that happened to me. And my biggest fear, honestly, and I could get teary, is I want to make God proud. I want to do what I'm supposed to. I don't want my own fears and insecurities, to block me from doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. You're going to make mistakes, though. We are human.
Exactly. Yeah. The Creator allowed us to do that. Whatever you call your Creator. Okay.
Yeah.
She allowed us, I'm going to go on the she part, but she allows us to have our choices.
Yeah.
The creators give us the ability to make the choice, to make the mistakes, because from mistakes we learn how to do it better, or how to do it differently.
Right.
It's like you guys said, there's no yin without the yang. You can't see the light if you don't have the darkness.
Yes, that's true.
As simple as that.
But I hope we get to a place when somebody brings up a ghost or a spirit or reincarnation. The first reaction is not going to be an eye roll or barely or thinly veiled disgust. Or I mean,
if you talk about this now, you said you've done a lot of research. You talk to people about spirits, ghosts, whatever, ghost hunting. Like me. I mean, I was in the field I was in. It was poo-pooed upon. However, we deal with that all the time. We're ripping apart houses. Yes, we have spirits that are either going to be angry or happy with us ripping apart these houses or buildings or whatever. But when you talk to someone about them, they'll always say, "Oh, I don't believe in that. Nope."
Yeah,
but where did that come from?
That
came from their education. That came from their family.
But they always have a but. They always have a story. They always say, well, this happened to me, and this, I saw this, or I saw this spirit, or this, something came to visit me, or something held me down when I was sleeping, or something this and that.
For sure.
And it's like, well, I have an explanation for all those things.
Yeah.
Happened.
Yeah.
I want to make friends with a ghost. It's seriously, I want to find out. I have that hero complex. I want to help them. I do. I want to send them to where they're supposed to be, and
introduce them to Teddy.
Have a go get a Slurpee or something. I don't know. But I mean,
I have a friend who's a medium, psychic medium, and his guy that he works with now, they've been together about 11 years, I think. He could track him down to when he was living, who he was. He spoke to his great granddaughter, and she had a picture of him. My friend Eric described this person that he was working with, the spirit he was working with, and the granddaughter showed him a picture after, and it was a spitting image of exactly what he said.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
And these are things that people gotta stop freaking out about. There you go.
Like I've caught these images on FLIR cameras, on thermal cameras. The one here, the top, because that is void of heat, right? So the living human girl, right? The girl there, that thing was actually groping her breast. Jeez. I caught him doing that. And that was, I mean, so I was filming.
I think that's going to be Harvey Weinstein after he passes on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's what you were doing in life in Jeff, but there are people that are mentally deficient. All right. I have a video on here. I've got, like a little bit of apparitions walking, right? But that was in a feeble-minded school. They're feeble-minded boys. They're coming out to play basketball. That's what they do. And I caught them. I stopped them because they didn't want to come out because we're in their basketball courts. So
right.
Walking back and forth and then don't know what to do, But, I mean, there's so many things that I have caught. I have, it's definitive proof for me, like, here, I'll show it to you. Don't be afraid of that device. It's just so we can hear you talk. See, right there, he's walking. And there's the big court. In the center of the court was this door that they were in. We were under one side, under one basketball hoop. Come on in. So they were coming out, and then we scared them. Yeah. Come in. Hello. Hi. Yes, it is. What is it? Are you recording it? Yes. What's your name? You want to play basketball with us? Could you move again? Hello? Keep coming, it's okay. We're not going to hurt you. Right there, look at. You got a second. So I'm not.
That's fantastic. I love the way you were talking to it's a ghost right here, because you're talking to it like a mother talks to a scared child. It's okay. You can come out there. I was going to say, I would love for you all to come out to Pasadena.
I would love to go on that bridge.
Yes, because
150 deaths on that bridge.
Right. And and you can lose a whole day down a rabbit hole about people in the Colorado Street Bridge and spirits. I was skeptical at first because I actually had a psychic from Britain come and have me go down to the bridge, and she was very dramatic and flamboyant, and she kind of looked like Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah,
And
Lisa Williams. I went to see her with
Okay.
a friend of mine.
but I actually felt
she's nothing
sorry
but
for
a
her because
showboat.
she kept getting stuff wrong, and I was saying, well, that's close, but not right. But
Yeah.
I do think people that have committed suicide, they're tormented. I want them to go where they want to go, but there are people that are seeing folks that have jumped off or died in the bridge accident. Some of the common apparitions are kind of turn of the century construction workers. Big surprise, suspenders, boots splattered. Maybe this is somebody who passed away because of this accident, which the city fathers want to sweep under the rug. There's also one of the worst stories ever was a young mother mentally ill threw her child over the bridge in a murder suicide because the world was a dark place.
But the child lived.
The child lives, right? But people say they've seen her around there.
Right.
And I would love to. It would be great to free these people. I'm sorry about that.
It would be, yes.
I want to get. I want them to go. I want them to get where they're going, and then have to quit hanging around Pasadena, bougie Pasadena. So, I seriously wish you would come out because I think
I would love to. I would love to investigate that bridge. We have all the equipment. We make all the equipment.
Right.
We have all that equipment and then some.
Because it's so. I mean, I feel like you care about these people, about these souls, but there's true crime buses that come out here, and it's just so cynical to make a buck in there. I've seen their spiel, and they get stuff wrong, and they're exaggerating. And I feel like some of those ghosts are slapping their head. Oh my God!
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Another caravan just manipulating us. Where's our cut?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And fake psychics. Oh, there is nothing on the planet that irks me more than a fake psychic.
I know.
Because the spirit will be sitting there, and you'll get it. I'll get it on audio. I'll get it on whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of the spirit being like, "Hey, that is no, that's not."
I hope when they pass on, they're doomed to like 100 years as a telemarketer. So.
Exactly. But Jacob here, he's gone on some of our investigations with us. He says, I remember that thermal photo of Roy Rolling Hills. That's where that it's a 7-foot tall giant that roams the halls there.
Wow.
Wonderful soul. Right?
Yeah.
He was left by a doctor who was, ashamed to have a giantism child. So they brought him to Rolling Hills and left him there. So he was very helpful there. Really sweet guy.
Yeah.
7 feet tall. Over 7 feet tall. He's around there still helping today. In depth. And I've gotten him almost every single time I've gone to Rolling Hills. Like that's what let's bring this back.
Rolling Hills out of my area.
In East Bethany, New York.
Oh, because we have a Rolling Hills out of
right
Pasadena.
There.
In the Pasadena area, yeah.
That's the guy walking down the hall right there.
I see.
That's his hall,
and
his room is up there. Like he likes to get balloons on his birthday, and I put him on the flare. You can actually see hands grab the balloon. I'll say pull it down, and it will move it down. Moved it over. I mean, it was just.
How do we get that person to? How do we get that person to go where they're supposed to go?
But not everybody's meant to go.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's the point. That some people believe that everybody has to go, but not everybody's meant to go. He is here for a reason. It doesn't have to make sense to us, but it's helping the people. Yeah. Maybe he's the one who's helping other people cross.
Right. Maybe that's part of his karmic debt or karmic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because he's such a kind and gentle soul in life. He's still being that kind and gentle soul after.
Yeah.
Because a place like that holds so many different people. I mean, you have people that are brought in there because they're destitute, people that are lost. A wife will be brought in there because her husband died and they took all her stuff away. You know what I mean? And she's no place to go. So she's in there. Then there'll be drunkards and rapists and everything else get thrown in there. It's like this big montage, I don't know a better word, of different types of people from all cultures.
Could there ever be something that happens in the world where everybody, all the spirits, or I'm sorry, all the ghosts are released and they, you know, they detach from their earthly connections? I mean, is that could there ever be something like that, or maybe we just need to realize they're here to help us and not scare us?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
been experiments like we do National Ghost Hunting Day, you know, where they have all teams from all over the world trying to tap into the same realm, right? Asking the same questions at the same time, you know.
That's fascinating.
You know, big experiment that started, 3, 4, no, maybe even longer than that now. I don't remember. 6 years ago, maybe. Like in Massachusetts. I don't do it anymore. But
I feel though,
you know,
people like you and, you know, Ghost Adventures and Ghost Detectives and all the Raikou Master. How do I pronounce it? I'm going to get it wrong.
Reiki.
I'm sorry, I did not hear it.
Reiki
Masters. Yeah, I'm gonna get really interested in that. But I feel like I don't know. I feel the same afflictions that can haunt a human, you know, can carry over, and we just have to appreciate that and normalize it and not be so freaked out. You know, like at one point, you know, we always want to demonize what scares us, and we gotta get away from that. You know,
people don't understand something, so they fear it.
They do.
You know, it's
That's
like
part of our Darwinist, you know, evolutionary brain. Unfortunately, you know, fear or flight. But I have such respect for people that go in there and they want to do good because they're treating. It doesn't matter if you're a spirit or you have flesh. You know, we're all children of a creator.
And you have the thing with the near-death experience that you're interested in. Now, I had
that. God.
I had broken my collarbone. I accidentally OD'd on the Percocets because I was in such pain. I've never felt pain like that ever in my life. But I accidentally overdosed. I was dying. I was on my couch. I tried to take a shower. The water got cold, and I started shivering, and it knocked that out even more. And I'd already taken Demerol and
oh my God,
and all this stuff.
Yikes!
Right? And and I took more, and then I just had a towel on me, and I just said, "Don't touch me." I went and I laid down on my couch, and I'm just like, "Just leave me." I just couldn't take the pain, and I ended up passing out and dying. I was dying. I was floating down my mother's hallway, going in increments, you know, jumping forward. Little bit. Didn't understand what was going on. By the time I got to, and it was my mother's hallway. Her door was right at the end of the hallway. And I'm going, I gotta wake her up. She's in there sleeping. That's what I'm thinking. She's in there sleeping. I gotta wake her up. And things are floating by me from my bed as a child, right? And I'm looking at him going, you know, I remember that candle. Wait, what's going on? And I still just could not grasp what was going on. Then I tried grabbing the things, they're disappearing. But the closer I got to the door, I could grab the things. You know, then I'm trying to throw the things at the door because I couldn't talk. There was no voice coming out. So I'm trying to throw things at the door. They're disappearing. I'm getting frustrated now. I'm getting pissed. Right? I'm like, come on, you know, and I'm grabbing the things and I'm going, oh. And then I finally, the last leap forward. Now I'm like maybe 3 feet from that door, you know, and I'm going, wait a minute, I'm dying. And then I'm going, no, I don't want to die. And I'm trying to say it. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Nothing's coming out. And then I screamed it. I don't want to die. And then in my real, you know, my real body, it's like I was either out of my body because I slammed into that couch. Boom. Right. And I was covered with sweat. And oh my God, that jarred this again. Hurt.
You went from bliss and no pain, little disorientation back into,
Wow. Right? But since that time, I can, when a spirit comes into the room, I hear different tones. So when I go on a ghost hunt, it's a high tone, a medium tone, a low tone. If it's a low tone, I get nervous. Medium tone, high tone, I'm fine. You know, I know that they're an okay spirit, you know. But the low tones, and especially if I'm taking people, you know, like Jacob was nervous about going to Rolling Hills and stuff, you know, but we go to some prisons where not so great, you know, places to go to. And if I have a group of people with me, especially people like you that have never gone, or like Mama that's never gone, you know, and I hear that low tone, I will steer away from there. You know, I will not subject people to it. You know, if I was there by myself, then I might want to go over there and try to help that.
Did you? First, how did you both get into this business? I mean, how did you? What did I mean? Did it pick you, or did you pick it?
I think it does pick you.
I think for me, I've been doing it since I was a child. I just never realized it. I did, for me, healing.
Yeah.
Healing and talking with for me, it started with angels. I was raised Roman Catholic. I was a not so good, but a good little Catholic girl who did the on the altar. I was oh God, I can't even think of the word now. I was at the altar and I did the ringing of the bells and yeah, an altar boy, altar girl, and I was never. For me, when you say God, I have too many questions. For me, to do one entity, I know there is something greater than me, but I won't give it a name, because then the name, Amber, behave. The name, some people don't like the name God, but there's so many different names for that entity that, it doesn't matter who you believe, as long as you understand that there's, a higher being.
Of course.
And I did, and I did it without realizing it. When I was in high school, I used to be a cheerleader on the basketball team. And when the guys would get hurt, they would come sit on the bench and I would massage where the muscles were aching and the pain would go away. At the time, the guys just thought, oh, they're getting a massage,
Right.
And,
typical guys.
Oh, you call child?
We're so high. We're high-wired for stupidity. Yeah.
Exactly.
But you just had this. You had what an
natural.
Incredible gift.
Yeah, and it was a natural thing. And for many years, I gave it away, didn't do it until I met my Reiki master, my first Reiki master. And he was like, no, you, and he would be like, I'm going to attune you to level 2 Reiki with the option, with the caveat that you have to give back. And I'm the person who always gives back. I don't think about it. I see somebody, they need a hug, I hug them. You want to talk to me, you need to talk, I will listen. And, so he was like, no, but you have to promise. So now when I do treatments, when I do Reiki sessions with people, sometimes they pay and sometimes they don't. When I do distance healing, I don't accept payments. I had one person who I was helping and I wouldn't accept the payment because I was helping him and his wife. They sent me like 10 pounds of chocolate and I was like, okay, no argument there.
As a chocolate hog, how do I get to do that? Yeah, that's magnificent. I mean, I think you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like Gina. She does what she does because I think each one of us does what we do what we do because we've known since, well, we may not remember realizing it, but we've known since childhood that we're good at something. And some of us, it took me 50 years-ish to become a Reiki practitioner. I didn't realize what I was doing was important, was specific.
Yeah.
And I would just do it like that.
And there's different realms of that too.
Yeah.
Like Reiki with manipulating energy, but there's pranic healing too.
Yep. There's different forms of energy healing.
Yeah. And it's like
Gina does it.
I can feel where someone's hurting. And then it's like you automatically want to draw that out and pull it away from the person, But my hands will heat up.
Yep.
Literally heat up. It's really crazy, and as you're going over someone, it'll stop you, or repel you, or it will draw you in. So it's like these different things, like where these areas are. So there's so many ways to attune your body and your mind and your vibration and everything to work these gifts. Like I don't do the pranic healing stuff anymore because I wasn't doing it properly, actually, because I was taking stuff out of people, but it was going into me, and I would suffer,
Yes.
And you have to learn how to not do that and to throw it away as opposed to taking it in you, But it's really it takes a lot out of you to do it regardless.
Oh yeah, I that's one of the things I've wondered about these shows and the ghost detectives and healers, etc. They go into this house. I mean, they must do things to prevent attachments from jumping on their back and clinging onto them.
Yes.
I mean, this is not, I know, there's, they're getting fame and some money, etc. But there's a cost. I mean, you don't want that following you home. Yeah. And
ask Gina about following home.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well,
Something followed you home.
When
yeah,
when
cost
you,
me about,
I
cost me about
learned that
$2,000.
Gina, yeah, exactly. If you want to ask Gina the worst of the worst, ask Gina. She'll tell you that there are things that even experienced
Seasoned,
investigators
seasoned people can still screw up.
mess
Of
up, and
course.
do screw up. There you go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the people have to admit it. And Gina's like the first one to admit it's like, I did this and I'm stupid, but I love it
Yep.
anyway.
Yeah.
I did wrong. I did the wrong thing, and I'm always preaching, don't do this. You don't go
Yeah.
on an investigation inebriated or drunk or stoned or high or anything like that because
Heck no.
you're vulnerable.
Some do.
All right?
Yeah. You're
Like,
asking
don't do it.
for it.
You're
Yeah.
asking for it. You really are. Or you don't go tired. All right. I went from Massachusetts out to Staten Island, picked up someone, drove all the way out to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, went all the way over to Hillview. And
No, that's not
all
good.
the weekend, I was
Yeah.
like driving, like major driving.
Yeah.
9 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours, this, that, going to these places, investigating all night. I'd sleep for 2 hours, and then we're going off to the next place. We investigate all night, and then I have to go all the way back to Staten Island, and I go over to this other place in Andover, and I went to the Masonic Lodge. Then I went over to the cemetery and to the Hoosac Tunnel. In the Hoosac Tunnel, I go in the Hoosac Tunnel, and I take home a brick and a spike. Now, I always tell people, all right, one, you shouldn't be doing all this stuff just tired. I was
Yeah.
so tired. I was so overtired.
You're vulnerable.
I was awake, right?
Right.
But not in my right mind at all. Because I tell them, don't even take a pebble of sand. I don't care what it is. You don't take
Yep.
anything home from a haunted location ever. Right? So I take home a brick and a spike, and then all of a sudden hell is breaking loose in my house. And this thing was awful. I mean, it was so awful, but it was damaging, and it was so powerful that it could cause damage. And it was damaging my electronics. It blew up my computer, my printer, my television, not all at once, not like I had lightning or anything
Yeah.
like this. It was all within a span of time. And then it physically smashed my microwave. And my microwave was not a cheap microwave. It was an $800 microwave. Right? It was a nice microwave. Physically smashed it. Now, at the time, my husband was passed away at that time, so I was there by myself and my little teeny Papillon dog. I had just gotten home from work. I had a pool out back. I was going out to close the pool,
Right.
all this stuff. So it's like I walked through the house. Everything was fine. I walked through the kitchen, out to the back, came back in, and I had two, because I'm a designer, a glass top stove. Never used it. It was pretty. But the microwave was over it, and then I had a gas cooktop on the island area. That's what I used. Right? But the glass, I thought the glass on the stove was shattered because the glass had fallen onto the stove, and I'm going, oh, my stove, right?
Right.
And then I looked up and saw it was the microwave, and I'm like, how the hell? And then it's like, I knew what it was, and then I took out a recorder, and I started asking, did you do this? Are you responsible for this? And it answered me. And I was like, and it was said something about hiding. I said, well, why are you hiding? What is it that I have to do that you're going to, that I can see you? Why won't you show yourself then to me if you have all this power? Now I'm getting, because I'm really mad because I fixed my television, my computer, it was like over $3,500 worth of damage, right?
Yeah. They can't Venmo you or anything.
You wouldn't believe what this thing said to me, though. It said, you want to see me, you sacrifice your dog. I went through the roof. And I called up everybody that I know, all my friends, all my psychic friends, all my friends that were in the paranormal, to help them, in the good aspect of it. And I said, you got to help me get rid of this thing out of my house. I didn't think I could do it by myself because it was that powerful and that strong. So they came over, and we did a big, it was
cleansing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cleansing and and repel that thing and sealed the property and sealed the house and sealed everything.
And tell me you returned the brick and the spike to its original
hell
condition.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That was good.
Yeah. You touch that dog, I'm gonna come get you after multiple lifetimes.
Oh,
I'll friggin' light you up.
Touching
yeah. I was like, I got a psychic medium from Staten Island that is a channeler that will take your ass in and he'll channel you in and then spell you as something different, but you will not be the same and you will be broken.
Yeah.
I was just like, don't you ever threaten my dog.
Mama bear.
I feel and I try to express this in Arroyo through the dog. I feel that as human beings have advanced, they've got more attached to technology and their own ideas of philosophy. The natural instincts that we all have as human beings, it's kind of like antennas, and they get worn down. They get worn down. They get worn down because we're thinking, and we're not connecting to the natural universe, and we're putting more emphasis on what we can reason rather than what we can intuit, and it leaves us susceptible. Animals don't have egos, except for cats who act like the French with their beanies and their gallo cigarettes. But that's why animals, understand spirits and auras and chakras and those things. I honestly believe that. And when this bridge was being built, there weren't animals around. It is true. I found that in the research because I think they knew there was a bad juju being projected out of the sucker, and in fact, we should become more like animals and just becoming more present,
So.
It is happening. It is happening. And my belief is that in 2012, was it 2012 that said the world was coming to an end?
Yeah,
and I was like,
saying the world's coming to an end.
It's coming to an end the way we know it. Since then, that is actually the year that I became interested in Reiki, that I became attuned.
Yeah.
And people since then have been opening up, being more receptive to what's out there. So it's like, no, you don't always have to be able to put physical hands on something to believe that it is. It's like, can you actually hold the wind? No, you can't, but it's still there. So why can't there be a spirit or a ghost or an energy that you can't put your hands to?
Oh, the Tai Chi masters can hold the wind.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other story. That I would love to do.
Speaking on that, I have a guest for you. I have somebody you should ask on. I'm a fan of her writing. Her name is Leslie Kean. Do you know about her? She wrote. She became famous for organizing a UFO conference, maybe like 10 years ago. That pretty much conclusively proved there is a lot of activity. I mean, yes, you can. Yes, 9 out of 10 you can explain away. But she brought together, and this is back before we took a negative turn with Russia. She brought over Russian pilots, air traffic controllers, U.S. aviation people. But she later did, after her brother passed away, she actually did kind of a similar book, bringing together experts. And her book is named "Surviving Death." And it's very good.
Series that's on.
Right. That's that woman, Leslie Kean.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
We had one of the people that was on that feature. One of the featured people on.
One of the doctor, the cardiologist.
No. One of the people that they were interviewing who had the experiences.
Oh,
Mike. What was his last name?
Oh gosh, I can't remember. I know. I can see him.
Yeah. Well, you're connected to this. You know about this book. And what's funny is I read this book and it's like I'm just devouring it. This is just my natural appetite. I know what I'm supposed to be reading, thinking about my next book, and it's like I know this story, I know this case, I know that. I mean, it's she went to extraordinary lengths to hide her identity, anything about her, to go to very well regarded psychics, and they batted very high. And I mean,
that's what that show was about with him too. He did the same thing. He was like on a mission.
Yeah, and she witnessed. He was in one of the series he's in one of her Netflix series.
Yeah, I usually don't like to watch the series after reading the book because I'm always disappointed.
Yeah, I know.
I'm one of those people.
It's such a difference.
But God bless that woman, and God bless Eben Alexander, Proof of Heaven. That is a mind-boggling book. This is about the famous doctor who had the experience. He had deadly meningitis, brain dead. He went to the other world. He solved mysteries. He came back. He had to learn to speak again. And it wasn't always an easy way. Today, he's like learning astral projection to get back to that knowingness of the other realm. Yeah.
We've had shamans on the astral project. We had Anthony Teresi, who's got a whole nother realm of all kinds of places that he was telling us all about.
Maybe that's where our next evolution is going to be. Is we in 1,000 years?
We have parallel universes.
Yeah.
Even the spirits. One psychic, a psychic that I know very well, he said he walked into a building once and he could see like a split level. He could see spirits here and spirits here. Like he can see them both. They don't. They're two different times,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they're not acknowledging each other.
Uh-huh.
But he can see each other. He's like that so to him that proves that the parallel, timeline. Even the spirits don't even see it. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. But there are spirits that are hanging out together. Trust me
There are.
on that one. And
There,
you can drop a digital recorder down, record them.
there was a
Talk to each
cheesy,
other.
movie called, I think it was called Them, from the late 70s. Is it They or Them? And the idea was there were like aliens among us or some other beings, and
Oh, okay.
you only saw them if you wore these glasses.
Right.
And I feel
Yeah,
like if there was
that was a B
glasses,
movie.
yeah, but I feel like if there was glasses that made you aware of everything and gave you omniscience, it would probably make your brain smoke, because there would be so many creatures and angels and beings around.
That's like for me, I need proof of all these things I need to see and do and feel and hear and take pictures and movies and videos myself for me to believe it. When
Yeah,
someone else says, well, I'm seeing elementals, and I'm seeing fairies and I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that, and I'm like, well, I've never seen them and I've never dealt with them, and so
yeah.
for me it's like, how do I see them that I can get this proof? You know what I mean? So then I'll go out in the woods and I'll investigate in these different areas where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Still haven't gotten anything, but I won't stop trying.
Well, I think it's a very noble thing you guys do, and I mean, in my own little way, every book I'm going to do is going to have magical realism, but not. It's going to
Yeah.
something connecting to near death experience. Messages from not beyond, just from the next plane back to us on Earth. And Pasadena, my area, California, famous for the Rose Bowl and the Rose Parade and museums and craftsman architecture and all that. But there's quite a paranormal light there, for not just Jack Parsons. I mean, that to me is hooey. I don't believe in the devil, but Caltech and JPL, these famous institutions, I've often wondered what they know they're not telling us, because they can they can see inside an atom and other things.
Yeah,
And
I was just watching
you shine a special laser on something, who knows what comes out of it.
I know. I was just watching the Science Channel this morning, and they're saying that it's not out of the realm of possibility that, like Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty, that is going to be, that will happen. I mean, they're doing it with other particles and things that they're actually.
That's my dream. That's my superpower. Teleportation.
But they can also they said even shrinking a person down to shrinking them down size. It's not out of the realm of possibilities because of the atom, because of like they said if you blew up an atom to the size of a football field, your nucleus is in the center, but then all these other particles around, if you shrink them, the whole shrinks. So it is possible, and you take the air out and it's possible, and it's just like yikes, but time travel, all these things, the time travel with the quantum physics, that is what we need for space travel, and that's working now today too.
We're caught. Yeah, if we could just get our ego out of the way, I think we a lot better. Do you know? I heard a scientist say there are hundreds of billions of trillions of habitable planets, and I just want to mic drop an atheist. Bye. What? So it's just all random. So all the mass of the multi-universes just happened to show up one day. How did it get there? Did a U-Haul truck drop it off? What's going on? I mean, I think we could live 10,000 lives and know 1/10%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, we are down to like 1 minute left. Mama has to go and cook her dinner. It's been really fun talking with you. I would like to talk to you some more, especially if you're going to write books. If you ever need anything, any kind of advice on paranormal, on ghosts, or this or that, because I really seriously, I have a ton of information.
Yeah.
That I've
She's been doing this a long time.
A long time.
I will reach out. I feel lucky to talk to you guys. I feel like I have more questions for you than you probably for me. I just wrote a dumb, silly book about a guy named Nick Chance. But
it's
please get this book.
It's not. It's the you may have written it and you think it's a dumb book, but the reason you wrote this book is to connect with us.
Absolutely.
This is not a dumb book.
Everything happens, as some people say, everything happens for a reason. I do believe it. So yes. Yeah. And your dog, when you said your dog was the reason that you named Royal, you sort of mimicked Royal after him, there's that reason why. He is, like you said, he was the one that made you, do the, yes.
Yeah.
Because trust me, even animals have a second life, have a spiritual side, and trust me, they come back and they, either in human form, and not human form, but animal form, human form, in many ways. And so he's there.
Well, thank you. I'll just say real quickly, I lost a nephew, a brilliant class Victorian nephew to fentanyl overdose, and it devastated the family. This is a kid that went to Ivy League school, and we were devastated. But I have this belief, and I think I got it from being 8 years old and having that vision. And we both love rock guitar. He was like an amateur geologist. And I swear to you, I promise you, we're all reeling. This is my big brother, my idol's son. We're all barely able to function like zombies. And I walk out in my backyard and there's a large rock sitting on a glass table, and a rock that does not look like anything else in my yard. And I go around, did you put that there? Are you pranking me? And it gave me a feeling like, you're on the right track. They're not as far away as you think. That veil between this realm and the next, it's actually kind of sheer. It's not opaque. And anything I can do to prove that, I will.
It's thinning all the time. But that's the thing. It's like when you look, we are always saying, look for signs of spirits.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the big ta-da, it's the small ones.
Yes, and don't let your mind, this sounds funny, but don't let your mind get in the way of what you know. And there's been books about this. Malcolm Gladwell has written about this.
Are you seeing this?
Don't let your skepticism get in the way of your intelligence.
Yes. Oh,
because culture packs that skepticism. Believe in the scientific method, which is great for some things, but man, it sure disconnects us from our universe. And I do believe that with my dying breath.
And trust your instincts. And then, your
for sure.
Your spirit guides are there to help you. They're always helping people, and sometimes they really got to bash you upside the head. Listen.
Oh, hell yes. I'll just say this. I know whenever in my life when I've been cocky about something, I swear to God, I will trip and fall on my face.
There you go.
Papers will go scattering. It's my guardian angel, like practicing being the house comedian. Oh God, he's doing it again.
Yep.
Bye. I swear to you.
That's it. That is so true. Yeah. And you gotta and trust that. Trust your gut, trust your instincts, and trust that, when the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, there's a reason for it. If someone new is coming into your life and everything is telling you to stay away from that person, but they're so nice, but there's still that gnawing thing.
I know.
Next thing you know, they're killing your cat out in the bed.
And funny thing in my true crime book, if the men and their egos and their interior architecture business had listened to the women that all got this hair on their arms standing up feeling about this quiet, observant guy in the corner of the room, you know what? There would have been a human being alive, and children wouldn't have lost their dad. And women. I think overall, female instinct is far sharper than men. And we just have we just put the wrong parts of ourselves.
You only use one side of your brain, and we use both. So you have an advantage.
Pretty much. Among other things. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. This is one of the most fun times I've ever had. I've learned so much. Now you've got me going. When my next book comes out, I'm gonna like drive out to your area and beg to be on, because I think we think similar.
Just message us.
I know.
I will.
We have
not difficult.
This magical power called interweb.
Interweb. Yeah. Well, keep doing what you're doing, because you're helping folks. So anyway,
we try. You keep doing what you're doing, because you are a fantastic writer, and I can't wait to start this book. I'm starting tonight.
Thank you.
And this one was phenomenal, and all the others too. So seriously, people, go look at the books, and here they are.
Links are in the chats, both on in
These are all
YouTube
his
and
books.
Facebook. So check them out.
Yep, www.chipjacobs.com. His website is phenomenal too, and then they have in the trailer for this book, The Darkest
Yeah.
Prayer, is there as well.
Yeah, you got to watch out for those interior designers, you know.
Hey.
Tell me something I don't know.
Anyway, well, God bless you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Come out to Pasadena anytime, and I'll show you. I have a bridge to show you. Not sell you, but show you.
Cool.
I know, right? I would love that.
I gotta get my passport first.
Where's my exit video?
I
There
do.
we go. I got it.
Bye, guys.
We'll
See you next week.
All right, God bless.
Week. All right, Chip, hang out for a second.
Same.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode in the Fox Den. We're here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and our anchor venues. We would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, and please subscribe, share, and definitely hit the notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.